So you're wanting to make sure that your book's characters feel real. Maybe your reviewers said that your characters felt paper thin or unrealistic. Maybe in reading back over your past manuscripts, you realized that some of these characters could have been built up a little better. Or maybe you just want to push yourself as the writer to create characters that to the reader feel really authentic and genuine in their motivations and feel realistic. So today I'm going to give you the single most important tip that I received to create realistic characters in your work of fiction. Now listen closely. Your characters have existed in the world that you are about to create long before you ever start page one. Let me say it again. All of the characters in your work of fiction have existed, have had entire lives from birth up until the point that you decide as the writer to start page one. They have had entire lives up until that point. So you, as the writer, have to remember this and make sure that each of your main characters, side characters, whomever, that are going to be at the very least integral to the plot, all of the characters that are going to move the plot in some way, shape, or form. I'm not talking about throwaway characters that, appear on one page. Not all of those need a full backstory. But for every character who's going to touch or move the plot in an important way, who's going to react to certain things that you, the writer, put into their field of view or onto their path for them to react to, you need to remember that they have had full, whole, real lives like all of us do prior to you starting page one. Why is this so important? It's so important because this is how we as humans react to things, okay? Let's say that you get into the college of your dreams. There could be a difference in reaction whether you came from an upper wealthy class where every single person in your circle, your parents, your grandparents, all of them went to elite institutions. The reaction from that character might almost be like the thing that pops up in the top of my head is when, Rory Gilmore was struggling between Yale and Harvard and the pressure because her grandparents had went to these elite institutions. So you, as a character who comes from that wealthy circle, they might react sad. They might react in a way that's, oh my God, I got into the school of my dreams, but deep down, unbeknownst to my parents and grandparents, I don't really want to go. But to the person who they're a first generation college student, their parents haven't gone to college, their grandparents didn't go to college. To them, they might be rapturous, in tears, jumping around the house, calling their friends. Like, those differences in reaction aren't just purely because you, the writer, thought of them. Those reactions are in alignment and in accordance to the character's backstory, to the character's history. So that is why it's important. And that reactionary sequence could be posited across any of the characters. Your characters should not, if you're trying to create a good piece of fiction, a good work, they should not be reacting willy-nilly to things that happen to them. There should be some sort of tie of, this is the reason why my character reacts this way or feels this way, because it's who they are as a person. They've had things happen to them in their lives, in their pasts, that are making them react a certain way. So, how do you do this? I do this exercise for every single book I write. I do it with pen and paper in a notebook, and each book that I write has its own notebook where, as I'm creating the main cast of characters and the side characters, I list them out, and I give a lot of room. I give each character at least a page and a half of space between each one, where I can jot down bullets of really key things that happened in their past. And you can be wild, you can be creative, because again, these should be the events that happened prior to page one, prior to when the story starts, that's going to inform how their character blooms, blossoms, materializes in this fictional world that you're about to build. This is going to make the writing process so smooth and so much easier because it kind of resembles what TV and movies do with the Bible. Like a TV show has the Bible of all of the key facts and figures and things that have happened in this universe to the characters, both current and even if there's a fact like before the show started, like so-and-so went to Harvard or so-and-so's mom died. Those things are in there in the Bible. And then from the first pilot episode, every single key thing that's mentioned about a character of, oh, so-and-so, had a car accident and that's why they have to drive a moped. And then there's funny bits about the character driving on a moped or, all those things are in the Bible. So the writers can very quickly, easily go through that Rolodex and then index and figure out, okay, this person, they got a DUI and they had an accident. So now they have to drive in a moped. And so we can do some funny scenes with this person arriving to some grand event on a moped. And, that's a funny shtick. And then, it could be, the possibilities are endless, but there's good reason why the film world has Bibles. So you can consider this character build out, these bullets on each of your characters, as your character Bible for your work. And then as certain scenes crop up in your story, your character is going to react in certain ways because of this past that they have. This is how real people react. If you had something happen prominent in your life or traumatic in your life or exciting in your life that was, a core memory, those core memories should exist for your character. You should not be creating them willy-nilly on the fly because I think it might work a little bit, but over time, the more you do that willy-nilly, there will be things that are sloppy. There will be things that crop up that I think the reader will be able to tell that your character's not being consistent, or you as the author are inserting your own POV of what you think should happen and not necessarily what the character is reacting to based upon their lived experiences. I've shown this clip in a different video, my 8 tips of how to actually finish your novel. I'll put that up in a card here. But I love this clip from J.K. Rowling. I played it in that video and I'll play it in this one because it will show you from the planner's perspective of a writer like myself or her, whomever, that is a planner of why she has all these papers in her apartment.
During those 5 years, this mass of material was generated, some of which will never find its way into the book, will never need to be in the books. It's just stuff I need to know for my own pleasure, partly for my own pleasure and partly because I like reading a book where I have the sense that the author knows everything. They might not be telling me everything, but you have that confidence that the author really knows everything. And that's in effect what I did. It was a question of condensing and editing and sculpting a book out of this mass of stuff that I had on Harry. And I thought that if it got published, I really thought it's a book for obsessives. It's a book for the kind of people who enjoy every little tiny detail about the world, because I have every little tiny detail about the world.
So a lot of the things that you put in this character Bible, this bulleted list of everything that's happened to your characters prior to page 1, some of it might not even be used or make it into the actual story. Like your reader may never hit a line where they say, oh, okay, this happened to this person. But it could inform the way they behave and their emotions, If one of the characters was neglected as a child and never felt loved, then that would make sense why they're needy or they are really craving someone's attention or love. These things have connections, and it actually, when I think about it, it reminds me of, one of Newton's laws, right? For every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction. You should remember that law and that rule when you're writing your characters and you're writing your novel or your script. Every action has an equal and opposite reaction. And you can even tie that formula to your character's traits, to why they are the way they are. Because again, like, look, if you're writing, some fairy, some romanticy, easy popcorn read, or something that's supposed to be just a quick, easy, lighthearted read, that's fine to create stuff willy-nilly and to just make stuff, feel like it just appears out of thin air. And that's okay. And if it brings your reader a smile or it makes you happy while you're doing it, that's fine. Like, there is enough room and there is enough space for all of those different types of art. And I do consider it art. I don't look down upon those other genres. I don't. But if you're like me watching this and you want to create stuff that is more on the literary side or pushes the envelope or pushes the boundary of something that borders into something that maybe one day 100 years down the road will be considered a classic, or something that verges on the literary, or you're trying to tell the reader something thematically, symbolically, if you're really trying to tell a powerful story that has different layers and that will really sit with the reader for weeks after they finish it, if that is your goal, you need to follow this one rule and this one tip of remembering that your characters have existed in the world that you are about to create long before page 1. They have existed since birth up until now when you begin the story. So tell me what you think of this tip. Have you done something like this before, like character work, how I do with my notebook on pen and paper before I ever write my book on my computer? Do you like this advice, or would you put a spin on it? Please let me know what you think in the comments. Also, if you are looking for a new horror read, my new horror book, The London Check, is out in paperback, also in hardback with the dust jacket. You can find those in the links in the description below. If you like this type of content about writing, books, movies, TV, even some life advice, stuff like that, consider giving a thumbs up, subscribing, and yeah, I'll see you on the next one.